Hi, I'm Borkon. Glad to have you here. Welcome back. My bed guardian cat is looking at me funny. He might be hungry. Anyway, last time we did a lot of small and big things. Actually, some of them were quite big, even though I called them small. Like some landscaping, building the path, some lighting up, finishing the bridge, re-enabling the farm with a proper loot system, and all kinds of stuff like that. And the consistent theme through at least half of these things is that I don't have any wood. And specifically, I don't have the nether variants of the woods, which would be really nice to have. But even in general, I am constantly running out of wood. So, of course, that's something that we need to fix. Now, I'll be honest. This episode was almost delayed by another week. Well, it wasn't delayed yet, I hope. When I'm recording this, it's still not delayed, but it might be. Because I spent way too much time in a creative world trying to perfect a never wood farm. Because I've seen that others have done farms that are self sustaining, and mine currently isn't. I know what the problem is, and I have an idea how to fix it, but that might actually cost me another week of work, or even more. I'm gonna build the version I have right now, and I will probably tear it down and build a new one later when I have figured out how to make it self-sustaining. Right now the farm I have produces about 500 logs per hour, which isn't spectacular, but should be enough for most needs, especially since I don't need to do anything with it. Don't need to push any buttons, I don't need to stand there and place saplings. It just works. But to do that, it currently consumes almost 1,000 bone meal per hour. It's not awful. It is returning big parts of it, but not all of it, so I'll still have to work on that. But, well, the design takes a lot of time to get right, and I'm not very fast at fixing redstone problems. So, let's build the current version, let's see how it works, and eventually I will probably fix it to be completely self-sufficient, or maybe even produce a surplus of bone meal, which would be nice. Although it's not critical because this thing is definitely producing bones and I can start producing bone meal in other ways. So it's not a catastrophic problem, but it's slightly annoying that I haven't managed to make it self-sufficient yet. I have prepared an area there. It's a little bit away from the base, and that's for two reasons. One, there will be lots of explosions, and two, it's noisy. Well, I guess that's the same reason, but one is because explosions are noisy, and the other one is that explosions explode and bad things happen when, especially when you're debugging a machine that throws a lot of TNT. Yeah, I've had lots of bad things happen. Uh, it has quite a big surface area. I didn't even realize how big it is. Everything is smaller and looks easier in creative. And I have materials for it. This isn't that much, of course, all the redstone necessary, and there'll be a lot of obsidian. And I'm gonna be using crying obsidian because why not? I think I actually have more crying obsidian than normal obsidian, so that's probably a good idea. Let's get some building done. The mechanism is now built, but we are missing quite a few things still. The TNT dupers are not finished because I actually forgot that I need the magic dust generators, also known as dead coral. And I am missing tons and tons of hoppers here that are supposed to be picking up the loot. Because you know why. This is why we're building this farm. I don't have wood. I now have iron to make the hoppers, but I don't have wood to make the hoppers. But one thing that I think is funny with this farm is that I'm using ender chests as a structure element. And that is because ender chests don't blow up when I keep dropping TNT over them, but the hoppers underneath wood, but with the ender chests above them, they don't blow up, but all the items that end up there still get picked up because the ender chests are not a full-size block, they are a little bit shorter than a normal block, which means that the hoppers under them work fine. I think I should just test this. Let's just... Do I need that much? No, I actually just need that bit. And where else? And this dispenser needs more bone meal. Right, hopefully this works. Just gonna turn it on and see what happens. Yay! We got a tree. And now we can see that if the TNT dupers were primed, they would be working. Of course they're not, because I don't have any TNT. But in principle, this worked. So, turn it off. So this dispenser shoots one bone meal onto that nylium block here, this one, and something usually grows on top of it. Usually it's not a fungus, it's something else. Then this dispenser here spams it with bone meal a few times, and if a log grows, like one of these, it's not log, it's a stem, then this comparator here detects it and we push it away because we don't want the nylium to turn into netherrack. And that also activates the whole blow up the tree mechanism, which spams a few TNTs and, well, yeah, blows up the tree, which we then collect with the water streams and those hoppers there, and then process with loot filters. We will, when I have hoppers, there will be composters here, so most of the stuff except the logs and the shroomlights will get composted and sent back into the system. This bit is not finished yet because I don't have hoppers. If a log doesn't grow within, I think, 4 or 5 bone meals from this dispenser, we just piston whatever grew there away. So unfortunately I don't have any space for a hopper to pick up that loot, so it will just float here and despawn. And we just try again. Spam 1 bone meal on this nylium block, then spam it 4 times with this, 4 or 5 times with this, and keep going until we get a log, and then we can blow up the tree. This nylium block here is important because there is a microscopic chance that this nylium block will turn into netherrack, even in the couple of ticks that the log is on top of it before it gets pushed away. So there is a microscopic chance that this will turn into netherrack. I think it happened, like before I had this, it happened once in 3 hours or something like that, so it's not a big deal. But it needs to be handled, and this is what this nylium block does. So when this turns into netherrack, when we bone meal it and there is a nylium block nearby, it turns back into nylium. There need to be hoppers here, and with more ender chests, I have tons of ender chests here. And this is just a very long stick, basically, where I'm poking up there to start the TNT spamming process. And this is actually my last addition to the machine when I was fiddling with it in creative, because once in, I think, 4 hours or so of running this and testing this, it managed to blow up one of the slime blocks. I don't know how the TNTs are supposed to be far enough away, but, well, apparently accidents happen. It's not a big deal. This should protect it, and if not, well, I will probably have to move it one block. And actually, moving it one block that way, or even two blocks that way, will make some of that wiring a little bit less awkward. Because all this wiring, yeah, it's. I want to say it's a mess, but it's not a mess because every part is exactly where it needs to be, and pretty much every bit of the machinery here serves two or even three purposes, so it has to be exactly where it is. The timings on the repeaters are important. This has to be two ticks, this has to be three ticks, etc., etc., etc. It took a long while to make it this compact. The wiring up there, on the other hand, is just meh. I don't care. Just put very, very long lines of repeaters everywhere, and something will happen. But it does work, so yeah. Wait a minute. I need to replace this block because this clearly needs to be terracotta and not stone. There, much better. Right, where were we? Oh, I'm using a quite unusual TNT setup here that you might not recognize from anyone else because I think I made it up myself. Well, I haven't seen anyone else do it. Uh, I'm using honey blocks to slow down the TNT, but you know what? I'll explain that after I get some corals and actually set up the TNT properly because it might make more sense when I demonstrate it. So, I think there was a coral reef not far away from here. Right. Don't do this in real life, please. Coral shouldn't be destroyed. This should be enough for all my future needs. I just built a temporary on-off switch here just to, well, to test if it works, maybe even explain it, or try to explain it. So normally this slime block and this observer would be moving into this position from underneath, but the same thing happens if I move it in from the side. So when this moves in, the observer sends in a pulse into the slime block, which then continues in a loop around here, like do 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 do. That fires that one, fires that one. It comes back, passes through the slime block, and goes around in a loop. And let's see. They're being pushed correctly. That one goes there. This one went, and that one goes. Yeah, this looks right. So let's stop it. Alright, now the moment we've all been waiting for. They have to be placed in the wrong spot, and the first activation will move them into the right spot. Ooh, how do I... let's remove that one, remove that one, remove that one, and... Goodbye, cruel world. I have fireworks. So, the first activations shouldn't cause the TNT to drop, but the second one should. So, yep, that looks primed. That looks primed. And that looks primed. Let's step back because... Okay, that one is falling correctly. That one is falling correctly, and it's blowing up my tree. Yep! Everything is working just fine. So the little bit unusual method I have for doing the TNT is using the honey blocks here. And the reason why I'm doing this is that I don't like the classic or traditional or whatever you want to call it mechanism for slowing down the TNT, because the problem you're trying to solve is that the TNT will fall a very, very, very long way before it blows up. So you need to slow it down. And the classic way is to drop the TNT onto a, I don't know, the trapdoor or an extended piston or a block that is held up by a piston or something like that. And then wait with a timer and withdraw that piston or withdraw that block or open the trapdoor. And I don't like that mechanism for two reasons. One, when you're building it and you make an error, the TNT gets stuck and your whole machine blows up. It has happened to me multiple times when I've been playing around with TNT systems like this. And the other reason is that you can only have one TNT in transit, because if they're staying, let's say, on a trap door, and you drop 5 TNTs on top of that trapdoor, when you open it, all 5 will fall out at the same time. So you can pretty much only have one TNT in transit. With this system, I can pretty much spam them as fast as I want, and they will all blow up at more or less the same height. I'm saying more or less. They blow up at exactly the same height, but if they're too close to each other when they're falling, then the explosion of the previous one might kick the next one flying in and make it fly like to the side or up or wherever. So, but if you're doing it slow enough, they will be exploding at the exact same spot every time. And it's because when you drop a thing on honey, it slides down relatively slowly, and I can control how high up the TNT is going to explode just by adjusting the honey blocks up or down. So we have the TNTs in place, everything is in place. I'm not 100% sure about the timings yet. I probably will need to adjust them, but it doesn't really matter because the system should now just work, I guess. And there we have it, a tree. We've detected the tree. And we're blowing it up. Let's get a better angle. So the way I can make it faster and self-sustaining on bone meal is rather than just have one block of nylium, to have 5 blocks of nylium, because one bone meal can spread into a 5x5 area of nylium. I will just have one line, so I will have just 5, but that way you can make it self-sustaining, hopefully. But as it should be obvious, it's pretty tight down there. It's hard to fit all the machinery under it. Oh no, I just ran out of rockets. I need an ender chest. Oh, wait. That's an interesting advantage. I left this thing running for a few hours, and it's not too awful. Bunch of crimson stems, bunch of warped stems, shroom lights, it's not too bad. I added a manual loading system for bone meal. I have still tons of bone meal left. And a little bit half awkward mechanism for disabling this hopper that feeds the bone meal into this bone meal line when the hopper here gets full, like this one, because this line is completely filled up to that dispenser over there, and this is because I want to give some priority, or actually I want to give priority to the bone meal that comes from the composters before the bone meal from the chests. So when the system is kind of full, we don't pull anything out of the chests. And I also added a very sophisticated system for switching which wood we're farming. And this is the sophisticated system. Like that. And we put back this, and now we're doing warped wood. I actually want crimson right now, so let's put it back. Yeah, I have no space to fit a mechanism to do this automatically in any way. I'll definitely have to redesign this machine so that they have a little bit more space under here. Not exactly sure how I'll do it, eh. But the good news is that this thing here survived. No TNT blew it up. The machine is still stable. Yeah, this thing is working great. I'm now gonna use the woods that I collected to fix up the last few bits that are missing. Like the bits here that aren't finished because I ran out of wood. So the stuff duct is now, I think, completely finished. I don't see any bits missing. I added a few more water-powered street lamps now that I have the warped wood for the trapdoors. This is starting to look quite nice around this area. Of course, we're still missing a building around this, and I haven't forgotten about it. I'm just still missing, uh, inspiration for what to do about it. And that thing, I guess, also needs a building. Particularly, these kind of farms look really horrifyingly ugly when they're just freestanding, so that can't be. That has to be some building there. I don't know what to do about it, but that will have to wait for the next time, or the time after that, or later, because we are now out of time. So, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye. Ow.